Yo, what's up? So I'm making this video because I have a question for anyone watching, and that is, would anyone like to make a video with me? Honestly, is anyone curious about Buddhism? Like, I've made quite a few videos now, and I love the Dharma. I think it's beautiful, I think it's liberating, I think it's genius in its precision, in its accuracy, in its lack of metaphysical speculation. And I know a lot of people are curious about the Dharma and also get questions in the comments a lot. And basically, if anyone genuinely wants to talk, and also make it an example for others about the Dharma, I'd love to make a video with someone just talking about the Dharma, basically. So if anyone's down, hit me up in the comments. If anyone wants to get a genuine Dharma talk, hit me up in the comments. Yeah, that's basically what concerning the question and request I had for anyone watching. I'd love to make a video on Buddhism with you. Also, leave questions in the comments, anything regarding the teachings. Like, I'm not claiming any insight, but I'm just a guy. I'm passionate about the Dharma. I read the Nikayas. I practice this all the time. I dedicate my life to the Dharma. And yeah, I just like exploring it with people, to encourage people, to inspire faith in the Dharma, to inspire faith in the Buddha, the teachings, to show people that genuine liberation is possible, to inspire them to seek it, to correct wrong views, to align them with the view of dependent origination, to inspire people to act ethically, follow the 5 precepts. So yeah, if my videos have ever inspired anything, and if you had questions, and if you're down to chat with me, like I've been chatting with some subscribers on DMs on Instagram too. I love replying to questions. I love talking about the Dharma. I love pointing people to sutras, to the Nikayas. So what I'm saying is, I'm here, I'm available. I'm not trying to be a teacher or a guru. I'm just trying to be a friend on the path. I'm trying to make sure people stay safe, people don't get misled. And everything I talk about, at least in recent videos, is all based on the Nikayas. I'm not adding anything of my own interpretations. I am outlining what happens. Sometimes I give examples from what I'm seeing in life, but generally I still try to stay rooted in the Dharma. So if anyone is curious and wants to talk to someone who's really serious about this stuff and who's really strict about keeping it sincere and pure, and if anyone has questions from the Nikas, maybe they don't have them, maybe they don't have the time to read them, yeah, hit me up. I'm just open. I'm here. I'm always here for anyone that ever needs someone, to just share a friendship. Because what did the Buddha say when Ananda said, oh, friendship is half the spiritual path? The Buddha said friendship is the whole spiritual path. And I'm not talking about spirituality in calling everything holy. calling everything holy. I'm talking about spirituality in the sense of liberation from suffering. That's all the Buddha taught. That's the whole point. So yeah, this is my question to you guys. Anyone want to make a video? Hit me up. We'll get into contact. We'll arrange a Zoom call. Sit down and just let's have a nice chat, a nice discussion. I'm not here to force anything, and I'm not here to force any view. I'm just here to discuss, and maybe, since I'm well read in the Dharma, well versed in the Dharma, and I practice this all the time, like wise attention, guarding the sense doors, meditation, vipassana, trying to see dependent origination in real time. I just want to help out. That's all I'm trying to say. I want to help out anyone who's struggling with understanding the Dharma because I think it's very important. I think it's very important. And yeah, the common narrative in spirituality these days is there's nothing to do, you're already free. But no, not in the Buddhist sense. There should be urgency. Why? Because having a human birth is exceedingly rare. Why? Because it requires very specific karma. And most people, when they get a human birth, they gather a lot of bad karma. They have a lot of selfish, greedy thoughts, actions, hatred, ill will, ignorance, they believe there's a separate self, they believe they're that separate self. Basically, they cultivate a lot of heedlessness, a lot of bad karma, and that leads to a lower birth. Even those that get a higher birth, they're not really seeing dukkha, they're not liberating themselves, right? So what I'm trying to say is the Buddha equated human birth to be about as rare as, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not exactly like what he said, but something along these lines, of a blind turtle swimming in the ocean and then randomly swimming up to the surface and hitting its head on a boat. So it's rare, right? Plus, not only is a human birth rare, not every human realm even has a Buddha, a Tathagata, Arahat, perfectly awakened Buddha, someone who teaches the Dharma, who points the way to liberation. So not only is a human birth exceedingly rare, a human birth where a Buddha arose and still has his original teachings available is super rare. Then a human birth with the Buddha's original teachings and a genuine practitioner, I'm not gonna claim anything else, that is willing to teach you and help you out on your path is also rare. And even rarer is genuinely taking up the path and following it, seeing what the Buddha pointed to. So the conditions are rare. It's not nothing to do. There is urgency, because if you don't free yourself now, who knows how many lives it'll take for conditions to align again, and who knows if you're even gonna run into a Buddha, if you're even gonna be capable of doing this. I'm trying to say is, take the chance while you got it, You never know when practice might be useful, right? There is urgency, and I'm only posting videos to make the Dharma as available as possible, because there's a lot of noise online, especially regarding spirituality. I think it's completely, I'm gonna use the modern term, I think it's cooked, because people don't understand causality, right? What does that mean? Let's say you have a unifying experience, right? You have an experience of unification, a perception, perhaps. And that perception, right, you think, aha, so I have a non-dual experience, that must be the truth. The truth is non-duality, right? And that's where the lack of understanding causality is a problem. Because if you don't understand that that experience arose due to conditions, causes and conditions, right? Then you mistake that experience for truth. That must be my true nature. That must be the truth. And because that experience feels pleasant, it feels complete, missing the point that it's conditioned, it feels like the truth, and it stops you. Boom. Insight stopped. Cut. No more insight. Why? Because you take it as some sort of nth point, some sort of goal, some sort of truth. And it's pretty funny, right? I'm gonna say, I'm not giving a properly gradual instruction Dharma talk, but I think it's pretty humorous, right? How Buddhism is called a religion when it's literally kind of the opposite, right? In the sense of everybody says what, I'm just past the car, okay. Everybody says what created existence, right? And they say God, they say the Tao, they say even Buddha nature, they say awareness, they say Brahma, they say a lot of things. But what the Buddha say, what causes the world? Ignorance, delusion, self-view, craving, clinging. That's what arises a world. So he didn't deposit something holy, right? But he called it out. He said it's clinging. He said it's ignorance. Not knowing is why the world arises. Imagine it like this. Not knowing causes a loop of volitional conditioned formations we call a world. And that's where the world comes from. It has no origin because it's a loop. So it doesn't have a beginning. The default state is not knowing. And when there's knowing, when there's wisdom, it cuts craving by cutting ignorance, and that ends the loop. And the conditions stop. And that's nirvana. The fire going out, the blowing out of conditions, freedom from conditionality. The only thing holding people back from this is believing they understand, that is called conceit, not seeing the danger in gratification, that is called ignorance, craving for becoming, right? Not understanding the fetters, not understanding the Four Noble Truths, not understanding dependent origination. The Buddha was not mystical in the sense where he said, oh, it's too, you can't explain it, it's too mystical, you know, it's beyond words. No, he said Four Noble Truths, dependent origination, see that, break the loop, escape. He didn't leave you hanging like that, because that makes no sense, really. Why can't you explain it? There's suffering, it has an origin. If you understand that, you know it can end, and there's a way to end it. It's practical, it works, it's a tested method, there's been many arhats. It is rare, right, but there's been arhats. All that lacks is sufficient seeing of dukkha, sufficient ethics, you know, the 5 hindrances, not guarding the sense doors, no concentration. If that's not present, no mindfulness, no wise attention, and I didn't go in order there. If that's lacking, then there's no insight. Dry insight is rare. Why? Because dry insight, which is insight without concentration, aka meditation, right, only occurs when past cultivation happened, which means past lives. You didn't really get dry insight. Your wisdom, your seeing was already sharp. All you need to happen was you to hear the Dharma, right? And you get it. But other people, if you're not seeing it, but you are suffering, I'm telling you to inspire faith. It does work. It's true. Test it, try it. Start with the beginning, start with the precepts. Then go over to guarding the sense doors, then go over to concentration, and then, only then do you even start considering the truths and dependent origination. You have to start with the negative stuff. Well, it's not negative, but the negative seeming stuff. Start with just seeing the benefit of cultivating good ethics. What really irks me is how people say there's nothing to do, how everything is perfect, while there's wars. We have enough food, but everyone's still hungry. We have enough houses, but everyone is starving. And I'm not trying to fix the world, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to say, people say it's all perfect when there's so much suffering all around them, because they may have a conditioned situation. See, Buddhism is hard. And hard, I mean by hard, like aura farming hard, like hard, because it's the ending of coping. You know, people say, if you see dukkha, you're just being negative. No, there's dukkha, it's there. If you're pretending it's not there, you're coping. That's called coping, right? That doesn't negate the pleasant experience, right? That just means you're being real. You're seeing dukkha, you're not bypassing. That's why it's hard. That's why it works. So yeah, don't fall for the traps. Don't be lazy. Have a sense of urgency, because the conditions for even meeting the Dharma are exceedingly rare. Give it a chance, you know, read into it, practice it, see for yourself that it works, you know, and see the danger in just mindless gratification. That's why. Thanks for watching. See you.